Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 independent comics, also a big fan of pop culture and what's going on in the world, like woke Sesame Street getting attacked. I can't even believe this because basically Sesame Street's on their side. Sesame Street, why are they woke? Why do you even refer to Sesame Street as woke? Well, they get involved with whatever the powerful government push is on social agendas. There was a big fight with Elmo and Ted Cruz having Muppet Wars. This is from the Washington Post. So Sesame Street, it is woke, but that doesn't mean they're not going to get attacked. I'm going to get into the story in just a second. Go ahead now, if you would, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, and definitely give me a thumbs up if you like the story. And really appreciate it. It's a big help. Here's the article coming from Fox Business. Now, you probably heard this story that a couple of black children were at Sesame Place and they were ignored by a puppet or a Muppet in a costume. And as a result, their feelings were hurt. Okay. And now they claimed it was racism. And now some attorneys have gotten involved and they figured out, hey, we're attorneys, okay? We can sue for anything. You don't think we can? Watch this. Hold my beer. Okay, so from Fox Business, Sesame Street, Sesame Place controversy. Black family files $25 million racial discrimination lawsuit after viral character snub. Baltimore family alleging SeaWorld Sesame Place engages in pervasive, not just a one-off, pervasive, which means they do it nonstop, and appalling discrimination against children. Now, when I first read this, I thought to myself, maybe you're thinking too, what do you mean, how are you being discriminated against? You go to a theme park, you enjoy whatever's in the theme park, hopefully you don't get physically injured, and hopefully nobody robs you or anything like that, and you have basically a nice time, no fights, no beefs. That's the whole purpose, right? How are you getting discriminated against? Are they employees or something? The children are employees of the theme park? No, they're not employees. They attended the theme park, but within their experience within the theme park, a family is claiming that they were discriminated against, that their civil rights were violated while they were in the theme park, which is quite interesting. Look, I'm not an attorney, but I'm going to pretend to be one throughout this entire video. This is not Nick Ricada. This is not Viva Frey. It's not even Robert Barnes. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's never stopped me before. It's not going to stop me now. So, how is it that their civil rights could possibly be violated when it's not reciprocal? So what if the children violated someone else's rights while they were in the theme park? Then the children could be sued? It doesn't make sense. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comments below. All right, a family from Baltimore, Maryland filed a $25 million lawsuit based on federal civil rights being violated on Wednesday of this week, accusing the Philadelphia area theme park Sesame Place of racial discrimination after a video went viral showing someone dressed as the Rosita character. Rosita is not a real person, it's a character in Sesame Street, apparently denying two black girls a hug during a parade. So there's the implication that you are required to hug anyone and everyone at all times if you work for the theme park. That's the implication. Let's see about that. The lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania alleges that 4 unnamed employees dressed as various Sesame Street characters ignored Quinton Burns. So that's an adult. Quinton is an adult. And his daughter, Kennedi, with an I, Burns, and other black, with a capital B, guests during the meet and greet on June 18th. It says other black guests also had their 14th Amendment rights violated on other instances, and the alleged discrimination targeted several black children on different days. And involved the characters ignoring black children while openly interacting with similarly situated white children. Nobody seems to know how this may or may not have affected Hispanic children or Asian American children or children of some other type of descent. But in any case, at the very least, they capitalized B for black and W for white on Fox Business. So, SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment and SeaWorld Parks Entertainment LLC engages in pervasive and appalling race discrimination against children in the operation of Sesame Street, Philadelphia, according to the 21-page filing. Now, as an interesting little side note to this, you may have noticed my colorful picture and thumbnail for this video. And when I went looking for this video, I was like, all right, let me find one that looks like some cool Sesame Street characters together. I was always a fan of Sesame Street as a kid. I liked The Muppet Show. I'm telling you too many secrets right now, going back to the facts. So back to the facts, so I found this picture. It's one of the first ones that came up. It's pretty cool. It didn't fit the layout. You know what I'm saying? Because I have to have on the left, woke Sesame Street attack. On the right, I got to have a bunch of Muppets. So I had to crop it. And then after I cropped it and I was starting to put the image together, fire at the bottom is very important, I noticed I cropped out two kids. Now, I also cropped out Oscar the Grouch. I didn't crop them out because, first of all, they're not Muppets, okay? They're not. This is a girl, okay? I don't know what her background is. This is another child. It seems like he's a black child. And he's right with Oscar the Grouch. Oscar the Grouch looks grouchy. Well, why did I crop them out? Well, I don't know. I cropped them out because this is a story about Sesame Street. So what's my point of this? My point is this, hopefully you understand. When I go cropping pictures, I'm not cropping pictures looking at, the color of this person or that person, whatever it is. I'm cropping pictures to fit them on the image. That's what I have to do. Otherwise, I'd have to do a whole other design. I don't think you want to have to see me do that. It's way, way too much effort. It's not where my skills are. So that's what I did. All right. And I admit it freely, but it wasn't with any animus. So the question is, do these Muppets hate children of certain colors? Is it all Muppets? Where do the puppets come in here? And also, are there only certain people wearing the costumes that are specifically targeting these people? I don't know. We're going to try to find out. Maybe the article will expose some of this. One of the things that's interesting about this also is the father, Quinton, is one of the plaintiffs. So when I first saw the lawsuit, I was like, why is the father a plaintiff? I understand he's claiming, I don't think this is reputable and legitimate because of what they're claiming. I'm sure I was blown off by some character or somebody over my lifetime, whether it was because of my demeanor or whatever it was, or maybe I earned it in some way. I have no idea. I wouldn't go sue them for $25 million. But Quinton, the father, is a plaintiff. And I'm like, why is he a plaintiff? I know enough about the law to understand the person who's the aggrieved party, the person who's looking for compensation and satisfaction from the court, is the one that's going to sue. So is he suing on behalf of his daughter? It doesn't seem so. He's actually suing on his own behalf because he also was blown off by a Muppet. Okay, so just so we have that situated. The incident with the Rosita character involved a different black family. Okay, so this has happened more than once apparently. Jody Brown posted a 9-second video to social media on July 16th showing the performer apparently snubbing her two daughters during a parade. The video quickly went viral with notable figures including civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who is not in it for the money. Yes, he is. Who secured the family of George Floyd the record $27 million civil settlement from the city of Minneapolis amid the trial for former police officer Derek Chauvin. What's interesting about that is, actually, it wasn't amid the trial. It was prior to the trial. The money was actually paid out, which is something that normally isn't done because you don't want to create an implication of responsibility. But Minneapolis was happy to help them along for whatever reason they did. so that they could take the George Floyd claim and say, absolutely, everything's valid here. Here's your $27 million, and there you go. So that was obviously Derek Chauvin, who's now in prison, and Destiny Child singer Kelly Rowland shared it on their massive platforms. Okay, so they pushed the story out. Ben Crump and Kelly Rowland pushed it out. Good for her. Just what the culture needs. So Sesame Place Philadelphia issued 3 apology statements. Now, their statements were not handled by a professional publicity firm. I saw a couple people talking on this. And one guy who was a crisis management consultant, had a couple of really, really interesting things to say. I even wrote his name down. I'm like, the next time I get in big trouble, I'm calling this guy. Okay, yeah. So in any event, what he was explaining was like, they just did everything wrong. Long story short, they did everything wrong. So their 3 apologies were first explaining the character had difficulty seeing in the costume, which probably is somewhat true. Was gesturing no to a parent's repeated request to hold a child for a photo, which is not permitted at Sesame Place. I don't know why, but there's probably a reason for it. I mean, they're getting sued for this, so you'd think they'd get sued for something else. And that the character did not intentionally single out any guests. The second apology promised equity training for its employees. Well, if you're going to promise equity training for your employees, which they already do, I'm sure, pretty much every company that's a woke company is doing it. How do we know they're a woke company? Again, they were pushing vaccines, and they're part of every corporate agenda, every SJW agenda. But when you're going to say in a response, you know what, we're taking responsibility, we're going to have equity training, then you're admitting that you were wrong, which is like that's a great way to get yourself sued like that. Now, whatever happened. Who knows? When Rosita takes the stand in full costume and puts on the voice, that is something I will watch. And I do hope that happens in this case. Probably they'll just settle and give them $5 million or something. We'll see. The third apology came after the Brown family, joined by their lawyer, B. Ivory Lamar, and activist Tamika Mallory of Until Freedom, hosted a press conference in New York City. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and this is very important to some people. I do understand that. That said, come on. But Sesame Street, go woke, go broke. Alienate the people who care about you. Alienate the people who grew up on Sesame Street, and those parents, tell them how they should raise all their children with whatever you're being told as corporate propaganda. And now you're going to find you're going to lose a lot of audience, you're going to lose a lot of influence, and the rest of the influence you have gets squandered and consumed by people that only have this SJW agenda. Quote, I'm hurting. Devastated me and my wife. Just looking at her face. It makes me want to cry every time I see it, Quinton Burns said. And that's why Quinton is a plaintiff again on this lawsuit himself. Because you want to know something. What's happened in lawsuits like this, this is its own thing. But what's happened when parents have sued with children and the money is going to the children, somehow the parents wind up running around with the money, and they get the money and they spend the money, and people say, hey, what happened to that kid's money? And the parents like, well, I was spending it for the family, but the bottom line is the money disappears, and that's not so good. So that's why Quinton has to sue as if he was a harmed individual. Again, not a lawyer over here, but I see the writing on the wall, and I've been here and I've been there and I've seen stuff before. So I'm telling you, Mr. Quinton Burns is saying that he was personally violated so he can run away with as much of this money as possible, and of course his daughter will have money in trust and things like that. The lawsuit says because the Burns family and other class members paid admission, they entered a contract with SeaWorld because they paid admission, making them entitled to enjoy all entertainment offered at the park, including meet and greets with Sesame Street themed costume character performers, including but not limited to those dressed as Elmo, Ernie, Telly Monster, and Abby Cadabby. Well, what about Cookie Monster? Your whole mistake here is why would you go if Cookie Monster isn't there? Also, don't you want cookies? I want cookies right now. Though the lawsuit does not name the 4 character performers listed as defendants, identifying them as various John Does, it alleges that those people wearing the costumers intentionally, wantonly, and publicly discriminated against the Burns family and others based on their race. I mean, if this actually went through and they actually got a settlement out of this, anything like $1 million plus, and as I said in another video recently, $1 million is a lot of money, but anything, any kind of money, it's going to be, they're ruining theme parks, like completely, because anyone's going to be like trying to get into a situation, recording videos from different angles. I mean, that's on my to-do list, so that you could try to create some evidence and capture something that you could then say, oh my God, I was wronged. Oh my goodness. Okay. So the Burns family and others based on their race, and that SeaWorld had actual knowledge of their personal beliefs of racial bias towards black people. Come on. And their propensity to discriminate against black people based on their race of color or color. Oh, well, okay. I mean, again, it's just black people. I mean, how are you going to uncover and support this? You know, and because obviously you could have 2 videos, because now there's multiple videos of people being slighted who are of color, you know. But again, causation, correlation, you can't necessarily say that everyone always gets full attention from everyone by all of these costumed characters. I mean, the costume characters are obviously not highly paid. They are trained, but it's just ridiculous. This lawsuit claims the plaintiffs suffered damage to their civil rights, economic damages, and have or will incur non-economic damages, including, well, yes, you're going to get humiliation, embarrassment, mental anguish, psychological stress, depression, anxiety, loss of self-respect, post-traumatic stress, damage to their physical health, and loss of life and or professional opportunities. Loss of professional opportunities. You know, when I look at people's resumes, and I do hire people, what I like to see is that people have, first of all, never been disrespected by a Muppet. If I see that, I immediately throw away the resume. The second thing is, I like to see that they have prior experience. And the reason why is, whatever the task is, if you do not have prior experience, that means it's on me to thoroughly train you and give you that whole immediate knowledge of every task you need to know how to do. That's a hard thing to do. And then also to correct you when you're wrong. And that's difficult. And that opens you up to God knows what lawsuits. I have ways of avoiding all that. Generally, I work with people remotely anyway, so it's a little difficult to accuse me of criticizing or whatever the heck you're going to do. But that said, I don't think you can say you're going to lose professional opportunities or lose your life or have post-traumatic stress because Muppets blew you off. If they indeed blew you off, and then you also have to be able to prove that they blew you off because of your immutable characteristics, such as your height or your skin color, or that you wore a hat that Muppets are always against. The lawsuit demands SeaWorld issue an unconditional apology to class members, because it's a class action lawsuit, and Black America. Okay. On behalf of SeaWorld, I'd like to issue that apology, is to say, if you felt badly in any way, please stop coming to the park, because we do not want to re-victimize you, even inadvertently. That's what I would say. It also asked that SeaWorld be ordered to implement rigorous mandatory cultural sensitivity training for agents and employees so they can better recognize, understand, and deliver an inclusive and equitable experience to all members of the public, irrespective of their race. The filing says the park must implement state-of-the-art psychological screening methods, so they're consultants that are going to get paid, right? To vet potential agents or employees, to avoid hiring racially bigoted employees. Oh my God. As I hope that they have a defense and don't settle this and counterclaim these people. Because these are horrific allegations to make against people. They really, really are. And what they're saying is it's not enough that Sesame Place is not racist. They need to be actively anti-racist. And that's a problem. And as well as mandatory educational courses on the history of discrimination against black people in America, provided by a mutually agreed, nationally acclaimed expert in the field of African and black history and culture. Well, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you think of this picture, and let me know what you think of this case that they have. Do they have a chance of getting $25 million for this? Maybe they'll get $25 million for something else. Do you think that the Sesame Place will settle? I think there's about a 50-50 myself that they settle. But they better not settle. They really better not settle, because this is going to be coming out of the woodwork. And honestly, if the Quinton Burns and family are able to get any amount of money for this, that is going to open the door to everybody going through old videos and trying to say, oh, well, you gave Quinton Burns $11 million, so you should really give me at least $5 million. I mean, they have to close the theme park. And maybe they could hit Disney with this. I'd love to see that. Disney deserves it. Okay, well, again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click the bell for notifications. And I will see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.